Some houses don't creak when they're empty. They watch. And when winter comes, when the roads are silent, the neighbors vanish, and snow buries every footprint, whatever has been watching finally feels brave enough to come closer. It was a cold December night, a week before Christmas, when my dad and I arrived at our family summer house in the Hamptons. The Hamptons feel wrong in the winter. People think of beaches, traffic, crowded restaurants, but all of that disappears once the temperature drops. What's left is a stretch of expensive homes sitting dark and empty, owned by people who already fled south weeks ago. Entire streets turn into ghost towns. No porch lights, no cars, no sounds except the wind coming off the ocean. Our house sat at the very end of a dead-end road. No through traffic. No reason for anyone to drive past unless they live there, and almost no one did this time of year. My mom and sister were still stuck finishing up work and wouldn't arrive until the following weekend. School was out for winter break for me, and my dad had been retired for a few years. We figured we'd come early, beat the snowstorm that was forecasted, and get the place ready. When we pulled into the driveway, the house looked exactly how we'd left it months earlier. Dark, quiet, lifeless. Dad handled the usual routine. Heat on, water running, circuit breakers checked. He moved through the house like he always did, flipping switches and muttering to himself. I carry my duffel upstairs and set up my PlayStation in my room. If I'm being honest, I barely noticed the emptiness at first. I was just happy to be on break. That first day passed quietly. Too quietly. Snow started falling just after sunset. By midnight, it was coming down hard, thick flakes, the kind that erase sound. By the time I finally went to bed, the world outside my window was already disappearing under white. I slept late the next morning. When I walked into the kitchen, my dad was standing at the counter, coffee in hand, staring out the back window. "Hey," he said casually, "when did you build a snowman?" I laughed. "What are you talking about?" He pointed toward the glass. "That, in the backyard." I walked over, and the moment I saw it, something cold slid into my stomach. There was at least 2 feet of fresh snow covering the yard. Untouched. Smooth. Except for one thing. A snowman stood dead center of the backyard. It wasn't small. Whoever built it had packed it carefully, stacked 3 solid sections, shaped the head cleanly. 2 long sticks served as arms, angled upward like it was reaching or surrendering. Its face was carved deeply into the snow. Hollow eyes. A wide smile. And it was facing the house. Facing the window. Facing us. "I didn't build that," I said. Dad frowned, but didn't look alarmed. "Must have been the neighbor kids." I didn't argue. At the time, it seemed possible. One of the nearby houses belonged to a family with kids, though they were rarely around in winter. Still, something felt off. There were no footprints. None leading to it. None leading away. Just smooth snow everywhere except beneath the snowman itself. That night, the wind howled hard enough to shake the windows. I stayed up late playing games, the snowman long forgotten, or so I told myself. Sometime after midnight, I woke up. Thump. The sound came from my window. Not a scrape. Not wind. A deliberate thump. My heart started pounding instantly. I lay there frozen, staring at the dark ceiling. Thump. Closer this time. Right against the glass. I pulled the blanket over my head like a child, holding my breath, terrified that whoever or whatever was outside could somehow see me. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Nothing. My mind started rationalizing. Snow falling from the roof. Ice. Branches. I slowly lowered the blanket and forced myself to sit up. My room was dimly lit by the moon, reflecting off the snow outside. I stood, shaking, and took 1 step toward the window. Then I looked out. I screamed. Standing just outside my window was another snowman. This one was closer. Much closer. Its face was wrong. The eyes were carved sharper, deeper. The mouth curved downward into an exaggerated, angry frown. The head was tilted slightly, like it was studying the room. Studying me. I ran into the hallway screaming for my dad. He burst out of his room seconds later, panic all over his face. I dragged him to my window. The moment he saw it, his expression changed completely. "That's not funny," he muttered, though he wasn't smiling. "I told you I didn't build them," I said, my voice shaking. He nodded slowly. I'll talk to the neighbors in the morning. I didn't sleep in my room that night. I slept in my sister's empty bedroom with the door locked. The next morning, my dad went next door. No one answered. No cars in the driveway. No lights on. The house looked abandoned. That was the only nearby house with kids. For the next 5 or 6 days, nothing happened. No new snowmen. No noises. No signs of anyone around. By Christmas Eve, the house was full. My mom, my sister, all 4 grandparents. Laughter filled the rooms. The fear faded into the background. Until the knock. It came early evening, before dinner, already dark outside. Not the doorbell. A knock. 3 slow taps. My dad walked to the door and called out, "Who is it?" A voice answered from the other side. "Please let me in." The voice sounded strained. Desperate. "I need help." My stomach dropped. There was no peephole. No window. No way to see who stood outside. "What's wrong?" my dad asked. "I have no one to spend Christmas with," the voice said. "Please." We all exchanged glances. Something about the voice felt rehearsed. Too calm beneath the desperation. "Please leave," my dad said sharply, "before I call the police." A pause. "Okay," the voice said softly. "I'll go. Please don't call the police." Footsteps retreated. The door was never opened. None of us slept well that night. On Christmas morning, we found the note. It was taped neatly to the front door. "I just wanted to have a little fun. I built the snowman for the boy in the house. I don't have anyone to spend the holiday with. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." I still think about that man. About how close he got. About how carefully he watched. And about how, even now, every winter when snow falls heavy and quiet, I wonder if somewhere out there, he's still building snowmen. Facing windows. Christmas of 2016 didn't feel like Christmas at all. It felt unreal, like someone had dropped my family into the wrong movie set. We were all staying in my Uncle Joshua's place in downtown Miami for the holidays. My immediate family, some cousins, and a few other close relatives had flown down from Connecticut to escape the cold. Palm trees wrapped in lights. Warm air. People in shorts and flip-flops singing Christmas songs. Everything about it felt off in a way I couldn't quite explain. My name is Andre. I was 21 years old at the time. My younger brother Nico was 18. And Miami was the last place either of us should have been. It was Friday night, the night before Christmas Eve, when Nico and I decided we wanted to go out. Being young, single, and suddenly surrounded by clubs and bars we'd only seen online, we felt invincible. Everyone talked about Miami like it was a playground, like nothing bad ever really happened there, as long as you were careful. That illusion wouldn't survive the night. We heard about a Christmas-themed club event happening on Miami Beach. People online were posting pictures wearing Santa hats, ugly sweaters, red lights everywhere. It sounded festive, harmless fun. The line outside the club was insane. When we finally got to the front, the bouncer didn't even pretend to consider us. $100 each, he said flatly. Then he looked at Nico's ID. He barely glanced at it before handing it back. Fake. Nico tried to argue, but it was pointless. We were done before we even started. We walked down the street annoyed, laughing it off, pretending it didn't bother us. Eventually, we found a smaller bar not too far away. No cover, dim lights, Christmas decorations hanging crooked from the ceiling. Music loud enough to feel normal. We got drinks and sat at the bar. That's when she appeared. I noticed her before Nico did. She stood out, not because she was particularly attractive, but because she didn't belong there. She looked mid-40s, maybe older. Her makeup was heavy, slightly smeared, like she'd been drinking all day. She wore a blue Santa hat pulled low on her forehead and a tight, sexually provocative Christmas sweater that felt forced, like she was trying too hard. She slid onto the stool next to Nico without asking. I heard her laugh before I heard what she was saying. "I love younger guys," she said loudly, "especially ones with accents." Nico laughed, flattered. He leaned into it immediately. I felt uncomfortable almost instantly. She asked him how old he was. Nico dodged the question. She didn't push. That alone should have been a red flag. Instead, she leaned closer, touching his arm casually, too casually. "I just think it's so cute," she said. "You're adorable." The way she said it made my skin crawl. They talked for a long time. Too long. I tried to keep an eye on them, but eventually I got distracted talking to a couple guys sitting next to me. Time passed. Drinks stacked up. Music blurred together. Then Nico tapped me on the shoulder. "I'm gonna head out with her," he said, grinning. I hesitated. "You good?" I asked. Yeah, he said. "She called us a ride." That bothered me. Us. "She's dropping me off somewhere first," he said quickly. I didn't argue. I should have. But I didn't want to be that older brother. I didn't want to ruin his moment. He was smiling, excited, confident. They walked out together. That was the last time I saw Nico that night. I stayed at the bar, maybe another 15 minutes before deciding to head back to my uncle's place. I assumed Nico would spend the night wherever he was going. I called an Uber. Halfway through the ride, my phone rang. It was Nico. I answered immediately. "Hello." Static. At first, I thought it was a pocket dial. I could hear movement, muffled voices. None of them sounded like my brother. Then I heard a man's voice. Deep, calm, not drunk. Another man spoke over him, then shouting. I said Nico's name again and again, louder each time. No response. The call disconnected. My heart started racing. I called back. No answer. Again. Voicemail. Again. Finally, someone picked up. "Hello," I said desperately. This phone was on the sidewalk, a man said. His voice was low and strange. Too composed. "Where are you?" I asked. "Please, my brother." He didn't answer. I heard talking in the background. Then screaming. Nico's voice. He was screaming my name. "Help me, Andre, help." The call cut off. I felt sick. I told the Uber driver to pull over. I was shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I tried calling my parents. No answer. My uncle. No answer. Anyone. The driver told me to call the police. I did. They came to my uncle's place. Lights flashing. Questions rapid fire. I woke my entire family up trying to explain that Nico was missing, that someone had his phone, that I heard him screaming. My dad went pale. The police asked for every detail I could remember about the woman. The Santa hat. The sweater. Her age. Her voice. What time they left. Then my dad and I went back to the bar with the officers. That's when my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered with my heart in my throat. It was Nico. He was gasping for breath. Crying. Barely able to speak. "They kidnapped me," he said. "I got away. I don't know where I am." We found him on a dark street in North Miami. When I saw him, I almost collapsed. His face was destroyed. 2 black eyes. Blood dried around his nose and mouth. His clothes were torn. His wallet, phone, keys, everything was gone. He told us everything. The woman said she called an Uber. When the car arrived, it wasn't an Uber. There were 2 men inside. The moment Nico got in, they grabbed him, held him down, told him if he made a sound, they'd shoot him. One of them called my number while beating him, punishing him for trying to scream. They drove for a long time. He thought he was going to die. When the car slowed and they loosened their grip, Nico ran. They didn't chase him. That's what terrified him most. Police never found the woman. No masks. No plates. Nothing. Christmas was ruined. That night, Nico woke us all up screaming. "She's in the house," he yelled. I'll never forget the look on his face. And I'll never forget that blue Santa hat. A couple years ago, my brother George and I bought a small house together. It wasn't anything special, just a modest place in a quiet area, surrounded by woods on 3 sides. We both liked the isolation, the privacy, the feeling that the world stopped a few feet beyond our property line. That should have been the warning. That first year living there, we decided to host Christmas. Not because we loved hosting, but because it felt like something you were supposed to do when you finally own a place. A way to bring the family together. A way to make the house feel alive. Our family isn't very big. It was just me, George, our parents, our aunt and uncle, our cousin, and our sister with her husband and their 2 kids. Our sister arrived first to help cook and prep. They brought their dog, Mika, a large protective shepherd mix who barked at everything and everyone. Because they lived a couple hours away, they planned to stay the night. Everyone else lived close enough to drive home later. The day passed peacefully. Loud conversations. Kids running around. The smell of food filling every room. At dinner, the conversation took a dark turn. Someone mentioned the bodies. Over the last few months, several people have been found dead in the woods in our county. Hunters, hikers, locals. No clear suspects. No pattern anyone could agree on. Our mom shut the conversation down immediately. Not on Christmas, she said sharply. Not in front of the kids. We dropped it. After dinner, we sat in the living room drinking wine, a Christmas movie playing quietly in the background. One by one, family members said their goodbyes and left. Eventually, it was just me, George, my sister, her husband, and my girlfriend, who came by around 10 to spend the night with me. The kids went to bed first. The house grew quieter. Sometime after 2 a.m., my girlfriend shook me awake. "Listen," she whispered. I held my breath. From the hallway came a low, deep growl. "Mika." I got out of bed and stepped into the hallway. The air felt colder than it should have. That's when I saw it. The back door was wide open. Cold air rushed inside, biting my face. Snow dusted the floor just inside the threshold. Mika stood frozen at the doorway, staring into the darkness outside, her teeth bared. "George," I called softly. No answer. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped onto the back deck. A thin layer of snow covered the ground, just enough to see footprints. They led away from the house, toward the woods. "George," I called again. From somewhere deep in the trees, I heard his voice. "Chet." It sounded distant, strained, like he was trying not to yell. My heart started pounding. I went back inside to tell my girlfriend. I threw on my coat and boots, grabbed my phone, and stepped back outside. I followed the footprints into the woods. They became harder to see the deeper I went. Snow clung to branches. The flashlight beam felt weak, swallowed by the darkness. "George," I yelled. "Chet," the voice replied. Same distance, same tone. Every time I called out, the response came back unchanged, never closer, never farther away. That's when fear crept in. I stopped walking. "Where are you?" I shouted. "What's wrong?" "Chet," the voice said again. I tried calling his phone. No answer. The woods were completely silent. No wind, no animals, nothing. Then the voice stopped. Total silence. My phone rang. It was my girlfriend. "Chet," she said, her voice shaking. "George is in his bedroom. He's right here." My stomach dropped. I asked her to check on my sister's husband. "He's here too," she said after a pause. I stood alone in the woods, my breath fogging the air, suddenly certain I wasn't alone. I turned and ran. Branches grabbed at me. My foot slipped on frozen leaves. I didn't stop until I saw the backyard light through the trees. When I got back, everyone was awake. George looked horrified when I told him what I heard. We called the police. They arrived, asked questions, searched briefly, and left. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was found. But the footprints ended at the tree line. And Mika refused to go near the woods ever again. I still don't go out there at night. Because whatever called my name knew it.